Hello, friends, welcome to Easy Learning. Easy Learning is all about helping to build a better generation. With this context, today we are going to discuss about the various methodologies that can be used to engage a kid. Definitely, I am not going to discuss anything related to the various activities that you can incorporate inside your daily routine so that your child gets engaged. But this video is definitely going to give you a different perspective of what exactly means by child engagement, how I actually understood a child engagement personally. Come, let's get inside the video. This particular video is being captioned as kids engagement during lockdown as because most of us started to think about engaging kids only during the lockdown because during the other times we had lot the video. First of all, I would like to formally define what is the meaning of an engagement. For this, I actually adapted an equation which was framed in the year 2010, which shows engagement is equal to motivation into active learning. That gave me a completely different perspective of what exactly is the meaning of engagement. How can I incorporate this in my kids' activities so that the engagement of a kid becomes actually meaningful? With this context, I try to understand how can I motivate my kid and also how can I make active learning as a part of child engagement. Let's see what is the meaning of motivation first of all. If you would ask me to define motivation, definitely I'm not in a position to define motivation. But I just thought of certain things, or I just thought of a strategy that actually been called as a motivating factor for any kid. During this lockdown, the major problem with kids is that most of the time they are free, or most of the time they are unorganized. If it is a school going kid, they had a daily routine which was completely keeping them busy from morning till evening, so they didn't have time to think about a factor called as boring factor. But nowadays, the child who mandatory that every parent should follow an organized way of living on a day to day. That means we need to have a routine that has to be followed on a daily basis. So, this clearly says you that you need to come up with a schedule. But the problem with the schedule is you put up a schedule today and most of the time the schedule is being followed for 2 days, and at the third day it goes back to the same pavilion wherein the kid is spending more time on the screen. I was just thinking why this is happening and how can I motivate my kid to follow a particular schedule. Then I realized that it's because the schedule is something which has been made by me and I forcibly ask my kid to follow the schedule that is actually irritating the kid. So one point that every parent must take into consideration is that the kid has to make their own schedule. We as a parent need to motivate the kid to make her own schedule. To understand or to make a fruitful schedule, a child should understand what is her interest and she has to realize what she actually need to do. As a parent, it is our responsibility to make them understand that this is what they like. And once if they are in a position to identify this, they will definitely come up with a schedule that is going to be followed for a longer period of time. That is will definitely make your child to spend her time in a more meaningful manner. So with this, I have just given you a simple schedule which was made by my daughter. Understood what is the meaning of motivation, it becomes very essential for any parent to understand what is the meaning of active learning and in an active learning what exactly a parent need to concentrate. As a parent, I concentrated on teaching life skill through active learning. Teaching the life skill on a daily basis to a kid would make a better generation, is what I believed. So, this active learning phase I divided into 5 phases, where under her schedule you could find these 5 factors are somehow been managed. Let's see what each of these factor means. Most of the kids today are exposed to lot of junk foods, and the physical activities they do are comparatively very less. So it becomes mandatory that you need to take care of the physical activity that a child is doing on a daily basis. So, as a part of the schedule, healthy body time is something which is very, very essential. And if you would go and ask the kid to start your yoga session by yourself, it might not happen. So I actually come up with this healthy time as I myself would get up in the morning and then I just play a YouTube video with some sort of exercises which is going on and I start doing this. So my kid wake up with this sound and she sees me that I'm performing certain exercises. So it actually motivate herself to come along with me and be a part of my exercise routine. And if you do not do this and if you sleep for a longer time, it is obvious that the kid is also going to sleep for a longer time. So, incorporating your kid with healthy time is something every parent can achieve only if they incorporate this as a part of their schedule. And another point that can be considered while you're doing a healthy time is if you would do the same sort of activity on a daily basis, then it is going to bore yourself as well as your kid. So you could actually come up with different sort of activities or different forms of exercises that you can do and keep your kid busy, engaged and happy. So the type of choices which I do is yoga, meditation. The meditation is something which is very, very essential because most of them are running into depression because of stress. So you need to address this as a kid. So meditation is definitely should be a part of the routine. At least weekly once a meditation has to be performed. I do this by saying some stories like if you meditate, the corona will never come and approach you. So like this, somehow we need to make our kid to get engaged with healthy body time. The next activity that must be a part of a routine is having a mimic time. This is something which is added because most of the kids like to mimic ourselves. In this point, I think most of the parents would go with me because you could have definitely found that most of your kids are loving to do what exactly you are doing. So in my house, this mimic time is coming in the form of doing utensils, folding clothes, cleaning the rooms, or cooking. So doing utensils is something which my kid love to do even in my presence or in my absence. So you just have to, fill your sink with some utensils, and if you ask her to do the utensils, she happily does that for either half an hour or 1 hour. That is keeping her actually engaged for 1 hour, which is teaching a complete life skill to her. Folding clothes is something which most of the kids like, irrespective of age. So, whether they do it properly or not, we are not bothered. But folding clothes is something which is going to make the kid engaged for a desirable amount of time. So, that can be added as a part of mimic time. Apart from that, cooking and cleaning their own rooms in the form of arranging their books or arranging their wardrobe or arranging their toys could be something that can be made as a part of their routine, and you being a part along with them would definitely make some difference in the way a kid is actually learning the life skill. The next very interesting component that should be a part of the routine is imagination time. This imagination time is something which I would suggest parents don't interfere, because how imaginative a kid is in their own world will be understood by them more than us. So you give this lab completely to the kid to understand what they like to do. So, under imagination time, you could go ahead with a lot of activities in the form of painting, drawing, or storytelling, whichever is interesting them. Let them do that particular activity for a stipulated amount of time, which is actually teaching your kid not only education, but it is again teaching a life skill to your kid. So, incorporate imagination time as a part of the routine. Another very interesting and important component that any parent should concentrate on is education is not learning of facts but the training of the mind to think. So, if you could sit with your child and ask her to learn addition or subtraction by putting a lot of lines and erasing it and showing them what is addition and what is subtraction is really, really boring for a kid, and they will actually learn that as a fact. So, that is not the actual meaning of education. Rather, you take a small bowl in which you add up 5 apples, and then you say that you take 3 apples and you have already eaten 3 apples. How many more would be remaining? So, that will make training of the mind to think. So, this would be the right way of teaching addition and subtraction to your child so that the education system that you're following is getting transformed. So, this is another very important factor. So, you need to teach the facts by making the mind to think. You concentrate on this. If you can check out in Google, you would find various type of activities that is actually helping any parent to make education as a mind to think. And do incorporate this as a part of your active learning. The last component that should be a part of active learning is family time, in fact. This is actually helps your child to build an interaction. How they have to interact with people can only happen at home. So, most of the kids long for listening. So, somebody should be there to listen to them, what they are saying, whether it is right or wrong, and how they are presenting, whether people are admiring it or not. You should show some signs of understanding what actually a kid is trying to explain to you. Give time to listen to your kid. That is very important. This is actually building an interaction skill to your kid. And this should be definitely a part of a routine. Maybe a mother is spending a time to listen to a kid, or a father is spending a time to listen to a kid, or maybe it is a family dinner time. It may be anything, but this again should be a part of the daily routine. So that forms actually the various active learning components that should be incorporated as a